to episode 52 of Out of State Daming Podcast. I'm your host, lluksblackheart, and at the moment, my co hosts aren't available to join me. So, we're going to hop straight into it and finish up talking about dun 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 druid spells. Woo! Last we left off, we finished with the 6th level spells. So now we're on to 7th. Dun dun dun. And we're going to start with. Wait, did we recover it? Yeah, we recovered 7th level. I apparently. I know Creeping Doom, Control Weather. Yeah, we already talked about these last episode. Well, needless to say, sometimes I'm even liable to forget things. But 7th level still has a bunch of neat spells. As you can see, with 8th level spells, there's actually not that many because they're all here. So, starting off, there's Animal Shape. My brain's trying to say we already did this, but I know we didn't cover 8th level spells. But start, with Animal Shape, where one ally per level gets to be polymorphed into a chosen animal. So it's kind of like, I want you to be this animal. Next is Control Plants, which you control the actions of one or more plant creatures, which, based on your level, I'm pretty sure it's based on the level that you actually get that, or the number of them. There's Mass Cure Serious, which is good healing spell. Earthquake. Earthquake is pretty brutal. Does the radius is 5 feet per caster level, so the higher caster level, the better the radius. But what it pretty much does is the ground starts like not only shake but like open up, and all the creatures on the ground have to make a reflex saving throw or pretty much fall to their death because it opens up and then closes at the end of the round, killing pretty much auto killing anything that falls in. Structures to take continuous damage until either A, they fall down, or B, the spell ends. And it is a single action, it's a single round spell, so it only lasts about 6 seconds, but yet you can still end up leveling or just devastating an entire part of a city with that. Get rid of walls, towers, cause a bridge to collapse, or if you do it while in a dungeon or a cave, you can end up collapsing it, therefore auto-killing everything in it, including yourself. But at the same time, it's a we don't want this dungeon, get rid of it. Next, Finger of Death. Yes, druids can get Finger of Death. For those who don't know what that is, it is you target a creature of it, they do a saving throw. If they fail, they die instantaneously. If they pass, they take a bunch of damage. It's like a die 6 per level, max of 10 last time I checked. Well, from what I remember. So you can one-shot kill someone with it. Then there's Repel Metal or Stone, which it pushes metal or stone you cast is like you're either pushes away metal or is pushing away stone. So it's really good to keep creatures wearing lots of metal on them, like most armored things, or if they're using stone weapons, you can even get rid of them like that, because a lot of the more primitive style weapons utilize stone. You can also use it to mess up stone buildings and barricades and stuff. There's the 8th level summon monster. Summon nature's ally. Sunburst, it blinds all within 10 feet and does a 6d6 damage, so that's pretty nice. It also does like more damage. Well, it does additional effects of things that are vulnerable to sunlight, if I remember correctly. So like vampires or stuff that just doesn't work well in sunlight, that does additional things too. Whirlwind, a cyclone that deals damage and picks up creatures. So the smaller the creature, the easier it is to pick up and do stuff with. And again, it is an AoE damage spell. So it's like, haha. Word of Recall. Just like when we went over this with the clerics, you cast a spell in location A, like your house, the party's base, just somewhere, and you can travel pretty much as far away as you can. As you want. And once the trigger that was set for the recall gets triggered, like let's say you say in a certain phrase, it activates and takes everyone that was present for when you casted the spell back to that location. So it is a great teleport spell, but it's not I want to teleport here and then I want to cast again, teleport here. It's I want to go back home. So it may not be the best spell, but it is still a good spell when it comes to long distance transportation. This is an automatic get yourself home. Yeah, and that's how few 8th level spells druids get. Now we can go into 9th level, which again, not a very big list. They get Antipathy. Object or location affected by a spell repels certain creatures. So you can kind of just stop certain creatures from showing up there. So if you don't want vermin to be at a location or or undead and stuff, you can have that, and it has a chance of actually repelling them and keeping them away. The more refined details, when we get over the spell itself, when we get to that section of the podcast. But it's also an A, so it's going to be one of the in the first batch of spells we cover. They get Mass Cure Critical Wounds, which, like I said in previous things, because druids do get healing spells, but at later levels than the cleric. For instance, I believe Mass Cure Critical is an 8th level spell for clerics, but it's a 9th for druids. Need to say, it's still a very good, powerful spell, though. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Elemental Swarm. It lets you summon multiple elementals. So it's not literally a swarm, like a rat swarm or a bat swarm or a centipede swarm. It's you're summoning just multiple elementals. The exact number and size of them we'll go over when we get to the E's. Ooh. Foresight. You get a 6th sense that warns of impending danger. So that one is kind of good, because it's a way for the DM to pretty much look at you and go, impending danger. It doesn't tell you what the danger is, how soon it's going to happen, other than it's there. It's going to be soonish. So it's not like, oh, it's like going to be we're going to be in danger in a year. It's a, oh, there's impending danger. So it lets the players get a little bit more prepared for something bad to happen. So it's not that bad. Exact details when we get into spell specifics. Regenerate. Subject. Subjects severed limbs grow back, and it does cure 4d8 damage with additional +1 per caster level to a max of 35. So it can heal and regrow limbs. The catch 22 is it has to be a actual like relatively fresh wound. So if your character loses a limb or like an eye, their ear, and like 2 years later someone hits you with regeneration, those wounds don't technically heal because the body's considered it already healed. So the magic doesn't pop those back. So you have to re-injure yourself by opening up the area and then have regeneration hit on you, and then it will actually trigger regeneration. What regeneration also does not do is if your character was born with certain conditions, like born without eyes, or born with only one arm, or a part of an arm, because those are actually real conditions that do affect people in real life. Regeneration does not correct that because, according to the magic, your body is already in its natural state. So even if you are born with your arm only going to here, the spell doesn't care because you're going to here. You can like cut that off, cast it. It's not going to regrow your arm because you never had that to begin with, so it can't regrow it. You'd have to use
am
a
late and I apologize. I am here and mildly queer.
mildly queer. Well, I already told them that you got that my co-host co-host would be at minimum running late, and
Yeah. No, I ran late. I lost track of time. I was having fun playing games. That was my bad.
I figured, and like normal, I wasn't trying to be that guy and go get your booty
No,
over
no, you're
here.
being that guy. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here though. I'm here.
Yes, you are. Um,
So where are you? Let's continue this trend here.
finishing. I mean, I was on regenerate, which is a ninth level druid spell. Because you missed the 8th level spells because it was a really tiny list.
Oh, well,
Ninth level
plus
spells
side.
are short. Uh, but I was just explaining how regeneration works. Because you can regrow severed limbs and it heals you hit points, but it doesn't help you if it's a pre-existing condition, such as uh, if you have like your arm cut off and then a year later you go to have a regeneration hit, the wound is already considered healed, so therefore it won't regrow the limb. You have to reopen up the injury for the arm to grow back. But if you were born with certain conditions, such as not having a full limb or not having eyes, regeneration doesn't grow them because the spell doesn't consider you missing those body parts because you're already in your natural state. So you have to utilize the higher grade spells to actually get that, which does kind of suck, but at the same time, the spells do have their own limitations. And a miracle or a wish can get you those body parts back. The only caveat to regeneration is that the DM. If the DM says it works, then it works. And if you want to argue with your DM about limitations of spells, please don't. Because if a DM says like I said, DM prerogative. If the DM wants a spell to work past its parameters, wait till after the game and talk to him about it. Don't interrupt everything at that moment unless it's something extremely game breaking. Because, well, there's people out there that jump on game breaking things like white on rice. The next spell is probably one of my favorite spells because of what it does. It's called Shambler. For those at home that don't know what that is, it's a plant monster. It's not necessarily the most powerful plant monster, but it's a pretty effective plant monster. What this spell does is it lets you summon a die 4 plus 2 of them. So somewhere between 3 to 6 shambling mounts pop up and are right there. They got your back. The exact duration would have to cover when we go over the spell itself, but it's still shambler mounts are not on the bottom of the food chain. They're pretty effective plant monsters. Then the next spell is Shape Change. It transforms you into a creature and changes forms once, and you can change forms once per round. So you can kind of forego certain limitations. There's like some limitations for like wild shape is your level has to be equal to or greater than the creature's hit die, and you would have to actually have interacted with the creature, not just read it in a book, but interacted with the creature. Shape change is if you simply just know of the creature, like if you've never met a T-Rex. I mean, if you've never interacted with a T-Rex, but your character knows what a T-Rex is, you can use this spell to turn into a T-Rex. So it kind of lets you break certain norms.
You mean to tell me I could turn it into a dinosaur?
As long as you cast that spell and the character actually knows of the creature, yes.
You mean to tell me I could be a T-Rex man?
You can turn into the tyrant lizard with this spell, yes. Yeah,
I
it's
heard I'm going to be a problem.
problem found. The next spell is Storm of Vengeance. It's a storm that rains acid, lightning, and hail. So you're taking acid damage, electricity damage, and bludgeoning slash cold damage. So it's a wider range of, unless you're highly resistant and or immune to multiple things, this storm can and will make you cry because that's a lot of different damages happening. And it's from what I remember, it is an AoE effect, so it affects multiple targets at the same time. There is the 9th level Summon Nature's Ally, which lets you conjure forth the most powerful things on the list. You're still limited to it needing to actually be in the area, though. And the last spell is probably one of the most broken spells in D&D. Some people may try to argue and say no, it's not, but it is. It's called Sympathy. You choose a object or location, and it attracts certain creatures. You can choose a alignment, and creatures of that alignment will start heading towards that area. They do get prefix saving throws that it's not just one saving throw. If they pass after like an hour, they have to make a second one and then a third one. So unless the spell duration runs out, they have to make a lot of saving throws. Or you can be extremely extremely Pacific and go, hey, I want to cast Sympathy on this bad guy's castle. Well, what are you choosing? I choose a Tarask. Will the Tarask can the Tarask actually beat that DC? Yes, but the Tarask only really needs to fail at once, and then the Tarask starts heading in that direction. The higher level you are, the longer the spell goes, and if you use like a greater rod of extend, you double the duration. So that way, the any and all Tarrasques, because it affects any Tarrasque within the effective range of the spell, not just a single entity, and at least once a day or once every other day, depending on how long the spell lasts, you cast it. Eventually, a Tarrasque will show up to wreck the guy's castle. And that's pretty much all you need to do to just ruin anyone's day. And it doesn't have to be a Tarrasque. You can choose red dragons, wolves. Uh, if you know that this city full of bad guys is with an X amount of distance of a wandering group of orcs, like a war party, but they're not going in the direction you want them to, you can use sympathy to get that war party to change direction to go towards where those people you want them to fight, and then you just enjoy the chaos because the orcs have enough intelligence to go. Something's compelling us to go that way, and a portion of us failed and is heading that way anyways. So let's go figure out who's trying to summon us. Oh hey, something obviously wants us to play around with this location here. Let's go have fun. So you can cause massive chaos by simply getting creatures of a certain type or creatures of a certain alignment to show up at a location. Uh, so overall, just a pretty decent spell. Mainly because it's a 9th level spell, which means the base DC, not counting Wisdom modifier, which your Wisdom has to be a 19 in order to cast a the DC is 19. If you add in your Wisdom, it's a 23. So at minimum, a 23. So unless you choose really powerful creature, you can end up still getting a bundle of chaos happening, especially if you cast it more than once. But that ends it for druid spells. Because they got a decent amount of spells at early levels, but once they start getting access to higher level spells, they don't get as many. And we can move to paladin spells. And paladins don't get that many spells either, even though they cast from first level to 4th level spells. Some of these spells you may recognize from other sources as having to cast them at slightly higher level. The paladin does get them at a lower level, but the difference is paladins have to wait till they're at least 4th level to be even able to cast spells to begin with. So unlike druids or clerics that we've gone over, or even bards, they start off waiting longer, and they're considered half-casters. What half-caster means is only half of their caster, half of their level counts as an actual point towards their caster level. So a 4th level paladin only has a caster level of 2. So like, no matter what, their spells aren't really the best because they not only have to wait higher level before they get it, they're considered half that when it comes to all of the variables that can affect it. So even though they do get some good ones, they're just not as effective as anyone else who can cast that spell. For instance, when it comes to their 1st level spells, they do get Bless, which as we know from clerics, gives a bonus to attack rolls and saves for spheres. It doesn't last as long because, again, cast a level 2 when he gets access to this. So the cleric, his is going to last a lot longer than whom, well, at least twice as long. They do get Blessed Water, which makes water holy. Blessed Weapon is a good because weapon strikes true against evil foes, which pretty much means you ignore DRs that require a good line weapon to bypass it. And there's some creatures that take additional damage from good line weapons if it has that. Create Water, which is a clear example of paladins get a good, well, a decent spell, but it's not as good as the cleric of the same level. So level 4 paladin can only create 4 gallons of water, while the level 4 cleric or even level 4 druid can create 8 gallons. Still good, just not in the quantities. Cure Light Wounds, Detect Poison, Detect Undead. Does that works just like any of the other Detects Undead? It's a 60-foot cone, and all undead creatures ping. So it's a great way to reveal where certain monsters are if you suspect them, like vampires hiding within inside a city. As long as they don't have anything concealing their presence, like an amulet of non-detection or the spell non-detection. Uh, you can go detect undead. Oh, hey, look, there's an undead creature. Let's figure out what it is now. Divine favor. This, no matter how you spell out, is always going to be good, even though it gets better the higher level you are. Because you get a +1 to attack and damage per 3 caster levels. So even though it's not that good for at when a paladin first gets it, but once he gets enough levels, it's going to become even more effective. Then there's Endure Elements, which lets you comfortably exist in cold or hot environments. Magic Weapon. I love Magic Weapon because when you cast it on a weapon, it becomes a +1 weapon for the duration of the spell, which lets you bypass a lot of DRs because a lot of DRs just have it needs to be a magical weapon. And turning your weapon into a from a normal weapon to a +1 weapon means any weapon can become good. Excuse me. And it doesn't even have to be your weapon. You can cast it on someone else's weapon. Protection from chaos/evil. Just like with the cleric, you have to, when you prep the spell, you have to choose either chaos or evil. And you get bonuses to AC, saves, counter mind control, and hedges out elementals and outsiders. So it's pretty good, and the only real limitation is it's either countering chaos or it's countering evil. But as one, like I said when we hit the cleric stuff, uh, you don't choose when you cast it; you choose when you prep it, while it's chaos or evil. A lot of people out there don't do that. They just put protection from and they write chaos/evil on it, and then assume that they get to pick when they cast the spell, even though they're supposed to pick when they prep the spell. Does protection from chaos and protection from evil, they're not these. They do the same thing, but they're not the same spell because one is triggering for evil, one is triggering for chaos, and people forget that. Because yes, Almighty Bacon, I've had to have those discussions with people because they weren't listening. And no, it was not
I
you.
was gonna say, I don't think it was me.
No, because you never actually focused on these and on those particular spells. Does you either A wanted to cast different spells or B had better spells. So,
I'm a slut. I know. It's okay.
well, no, it's not that you're bad. It's more along the terms of how to be how to be an annoying player without being a frustrating player. Don't I mean don't overly argue with the DM. This goes, well, I might not cast that spell again because I thought it worked differently. Uh, Paladins
To be
do get
completely fair, I have yet to blow anything up.
recently.
I said that with a straight face, and I don't know how I did.
Where your camera's off, so I couldn't tell. You didn't laugh or
Probably for the best.
anything, so they didn't want to see my ugly
Again,
mug.
it's probably for the best.
Uh, for the best. Yeah, these paladins do get read magic that lets you read scrolls and spell books. And like I said again, one of the technicalities is if you don't have this spell cast on you, when you go to read a scroll, you can't read it because it's written in magical writing. Because this is the spell that lets you actually read them. A lot of DMs don't enforce that though because they think it's kind of stupid. So unless the DM Pacific goes, oh, you go to read it, the letters keep changing and the words keep rearranging themselves. Why? Because it's a magical writing. So unless you cast read magic, not gonna work. Next is resistance, which gives a bonus to saving throws. They get lesser restoration, which can recover magical ability penalties or repairs the damage. So it's real good to help keep people alive who are suffering from poison and or diseases. Because who needs some of the more higher level stuff when you can just simply cast lesser restoration a bunch of times to recover person's stat loss. Their last first level spell is Virtue, which gives a +1 temporary hit point. Which that's usually like a 0 level spell for several other casters. So is like Raid Magic. So you can see that just like how the Druid got healing spells, but at one level, like one at least one level higher than like a cleric does. The Paladin can't cast 0 level spells, but some of the spells he has that are 0 level for other classes are first level for him. So it's like he has those certain gives and takes. But once he gets to 4th level, he can focus on healing, some support spells, or just damage spells. Because like magic weapon, bless weapon, bless, divine favor can all help anyone win the fight because you're boosting statistics. But that's their 1st level spells. Now we can start talking about what a few 2nd level spells they get. Which you're probably going to funny because some of these spells are like 1st level spells for clerics. Bull Strength, Eagle Splendor, Owl's Wisdom, which Bull Strength increases strength, Eagle Splendor increases charisma, and Owl's Wisdom increases wisdom. So they do get stat buff spells. Not Bear's Endurance at this moment in time, so they can increase their someone's hit points by increasing their con, but they can make you physically stronger, more charming, and have better common sense. They do get Delay Poison, which just how the previous 2 spell lists get it. It stops poison from harming a subject for 1 hour per level. so you can delay it for a few hours. Remove paralysis. This, despite what some people may think, is a decent spell because you hit someone and it frees one or more creatures from paralysis or a slow effect. Because there is a bundle of different spells that can hit someone with a slow effect, and there is multiple ways to get paralyzed. They may not necessarily be super common, but they are there, and this spell can easily go, oh, you're paralyzed? Boom, now you're not. So it is good. Then there's resist energy, which is always good. Because you get a energy resistance 10. Excuse me. So no one can really complain with that. Shield Other. This is a goofy spell. I say that because when you cast it, you choose a person, and whenever that person takes damage, you immediately take half of it. That damage cannot be stopped or prevented by any ways because you just immediately take it. So it's a real great way to keep one person who keeps getting themselves in super situations. You can keep them alive because, well, anytime they take damage, you're taking half of it. But it puts you at also risk of not staying up so long because you're losing hit points from not only whatever's attacking you, but from whatever's attacking them. So hopefully you're able to keep yourself alive long enough to look at that person and tell them to stop. The next one is a spell that a lot of paladin players that I've played with and had in my games don't use because they think it's a stupid spell that doesn't make sense for a paladin to have, and it's undetectable alignment. They think it's pointless because if you're a paladin, everyone knows you're lawful good because you're a paladin. So it doesn't make sense for a paladin to have a spell to hide their alignment when anyone who knows they're a paladin will immediately go, oh, we know your alignment. We don't even have to cast any spells. Even though concealing your alignment can make it harder for certain monster types to detect you, because with their aura of good, certain things go, oh, I want to fight that guy. Like a lot of the demons and devils, they'll target the paladin most of the time. So being able to conceal that can help you be less of a target if you don't want to be openly targeted. It also means if you go in an area where you know it's rich with certain creatures that can feel your aura, this helps you blend in a little bit more so you don't get singled out as quickly or as easily. But there's then also the thing of most people play paladins don't do anything to conceal that they're a paladin. They openly wear their religion on their chest for everyone to see, which isn't a bad thing. Just clerics kind of do it too. But like I said, a large majority of people who play paladins look at that spell on that list and go, no, no, it shouldn't be there. No. Because why would a paladin ever hide their alignment?
I always try to strive to be a paladin who uses heavy stealth.
Yeah, there is stealth paladins, and I'm not talking about
No, 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 no.
okay, yeah,
Heavy stealth.
yeah, it's just yeah,
My favorite kind of paladin.
the
The
ones
kind
that
where
sneak.
they can't hear you if they're dead.
Yeah, the last second level spell, and this one a lot of people either automatically misunderstand what it does, or just go, it's stupid. Everyone's gonna pass it. Why even try? It's called Zone of Truth. Subjects within the range cannot lie. A lot of people misunderstand this because they assume that the people can only tell the truth, which which is a lie. All the
You could twist
subject
the truth.
the subject is they just can't lie. So as long as they're not lying, they don't have to tell you the truth. So if you ask them a question like, "Where's the bad guy?" "Where's the evil lich trying to conquer the world?" The person you affected by this can look at you and go, "Not here." Well, you know he's not lying because he can't lie. But yet he doesn't actually have to tell you where the lich is, because it's not a you have to tell the truth, it's a you cannot lie. So a lot of people get super pissed off, argumentative. That's like, again, it's a you cannot lie spell, not a you have to tell the truth spell. This subject can also just refuse to answer, because it's not a you have to answer spell. It's a, again, cannot lie. So a lot of people just stop using it because they get pissed off that they're not getting what they want. And then there's a lot of people going, it's a second level spell, which means it's a base DC 12. In order for it to actually work, you have to do all this other stuff to increase its level, have a high wisdom to increase it. They just go, it's too much work for a spell that isn't necessarily the best at getting information. Now we get to third level spells. The third level spell, Cure Moderate Wounds, which, just like how like a druid can cast this at third level while a cleric can cast it at second level, here's a paladin. Third level spell is a second level cleric spell. Still good. Uh, they get Daylight, which is a 60-foot radius of bright light. Discern Lies. It reveals deliberate falsehoods. Just like Zone of Truth, this is a spell that a lot of people completely misunderstand, because it doesn't stop the individual from lying. It just reveals a deliberate falsehood, which means if a person is lying to you but they do not know that they're telling a lie, that's not deliberate. It may be a lie, but it's not a deliberate lie. If they are going out of their way to do it, like if someone goes, "Hey, did you guys blow up that Lich's tower?" And the person would go, "No, no, that marble tower I did not blow up at all."
It was one time, Jacob. Let it go.
It makes perfect references for certain spells, and so therefore humorous. We all had a good laugh at it.
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
You just won't let it go.
Yeah, but
It was one tower. It's fine.
no, the tower's not fine.
No, the tower's definitely not okay, but everything else is fine. The tower's fucked. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
But like I said, that action would reveal, oh, okay, this person is deliberately lying. But if someone were, but if the question were to be aimed at another party member like, "Hey, do you know who blew up this tower?" Because this tower, there was several people who weren't necessarily present for the destruction of the tower, and they do know the people involved. But if they don't know that that person was involved, and they say, "No, I don't," they're not deliberately lying, because again, they don't know they're lying. Because from the outside looking in, you go, "Oh, you know who did it because these people are the one party that did it. You know them." From that person's perspective is, I may know them, but I don't know that they did it. Therefore, I'm not lying because I don't know they did it. So therefore, it's not a deliberate falsehood. Then we have Dispel Magic, which is, some people may go, "What? Wait, druids and clerics get that at a first level spell." Well, again, paladins don't work the same way as them. So here's a normally a first level spell, but they get it at third level. Because again, you have to remember, they not only have to wait till they're higher level to cast any spells. They're considered a half caster, so not all of their stuff is going to work the same at the same time simply because of those factors. The next spell is a decent spell. It's called Heal Mount. It's as the heal spell, but it's pretty much on the paladin special mount. So they can't go around healing everyone else's mounts or everyone else, but they can use it on their mount to keep their mount alive. And if you are wondering, because you can read it, it's read it at the little description there where it's as heal on warhorse or other special mount. It's referring to the fact that most paladins have a warhorse. And the special mount part is when a paladin reaches certain levels and a DM is willing to permit it, they can get different mounts. Not an entire stable full, but it's kind of like I want to swap my warhorse out for this. So a high enough level paladin can end up getting a Pegasus or a unicorn. The next spell is Magic Circle against Chaos, which gives you a 10-foot radius, and it does last a decent while, 10 minutes per caster level. And kind of like how protection against chaos gives you bonuses against chaotic things, this also gives you bonuses against chaotic things, but it's a 10-foot radius. Therefore, as long as the other party members aren't chaotic, and or the DM's not really caring because they're not the enemy, they get the bonuses too. So it's like you not only protect yourself, but your allies. They also get Magic Circle against Evil, which is the same as the Magic Circle against Chaos, but it's only against Evil. And again, 10-foot radius, last 10 minutes per caster level. So if you have one or both of those active, all of your party members that get around you get those same bonuses against things of those alignments. The next spell is Greater Magic Weapon. It works just like the normal magic weapon, but it's a +1 per 4 caster levels to a max of +5. So if you're high enough level, you can go yay! Here's this nice big bonus I'm throwing on this random weapon. Now, just like magic weapon, it does not stack with already existing magical effects. So if you already have a +4 sword, this won't work unless you're high enough level to have it be a +5, and it doesn't stack, it supersedes. So you use the 5 instead of the 4. So it's real good to help people who have weaker weapons, because it lets you make them a little bit more powerful. Or to go, I'm just going to pick up this random weapon over here, and for a short time period, it's going to act as a magical weapon. I'm going to go beat stuff with it. So it does have its uses. Next is a spell that for some weird reason I kind of have to force people to take because they don't like it for some stupid reason, because they rather use Bless. And this spell is called Prayer. And it gives a +1 to allies on most die rolls. Most. So it's pretty much attack rolls, saving throws for certain things, and a bunch of different skill checks. What it also does is give enemies within that affected zone a penalty to the same things. So the enemies suffer a -1 to hitting, or they get a -1 to some of their skills. So I'm going to make it easier for everyone to hit while making it harder for the enemy to hit, because it's kind of like a more powerful bless, but a lot of people just disregard it and don't take it because, again, they'd rather have bless for some weird reason. Prayer, if memory serves, also affects a bigger radius. So it's a don't be stupid, Cletus. The next spell is a spell that doesn't really get much use unless party members are being stupid or a DM's trying to cripple party members. And it's remove blindness slash deafness. When you cast it, you cure normal or magical conditions regarding to either their blindness or their deafness. Now, if they are missing their eyes and or missing their ears, it doesn't fix that because if they don't have an ear, you can't fix the deafness in it. So they
What
still
do you say?
need the body part.
Dad needs hearing.
Yeah,
What?
exactly. I need to cast remove deafness from you so you can hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. Ba-bam! The last third level spell is remove curse. It frees an object or a person from a curse. Not a location, but if someone has a cursed object, like a cursed sword or a cursed coin, you can remove that. Or if the person themselves has a curse, you can remove it from them. So it is another decent spell because curses can show up out of nowhere and ruin your day. But that's it for the third level spells. Now we can go into their fourth level spells. And this is the last section for paladins because they only get up to fourth level spells. And it starts off with a good one, Break Enchantment. What this does is it frees the subject from enchantments, alterations, curses, and petrification. So if someone was turned to stone, you can use Break Enchantment to reverse the petrification. So it's like the bigger version of Remove Curse, but it can affect multiple different types of things, not just curses. Then they get Cure Serious Wounds, which is normally a third level cleric spell. So they get it one level later, and their actual level has to be a lot higher. Then they get probably one of the better spells, especially if you're doing it with undead. Well, with undead. Death Ward. Grants immunity to death spells and negative energy effects. Which, if you're fighting like glitches or vampires or like wights or ghouls, you're like, hey, Death Ward, go ahead, hit me with your negative energy effect, your negative energy and death effects. I don't care. Excuse me. Because that's always going to be a good one. The next two spells are Dispel Chaos and Dispel Evil. Without going into the actual spell itself and just using what's listed here, is when you cast a spell, you get a +4 bonus against attacks by chaotic creatures. And the Dispel Evil is you get a +4 against attacks by evil creatures. So it's kind of like whenever whenever a creature of that alignment attacks you, you get a +4 first their attack to your AC, so you're right there harder to hit. And without going into the spell itself, self-determine what type of bonus it is, I cannot deny or confirm if it stacks with Magic Circle. This either does or doesn't. Because different type bonuses stack, same type bonuses don't. You just use whatever's higher. The next spell is probably one of the best spells in the game, and it's Holy Sword. You cast it on a weapon, it becomes a +5 weapon that deals an additional 2d6 damage against evil creatures. You can cast it on your own weapon or on someone else's weapon. And even if it's a +5 weapon already, the extra 2d6 for evil creatures is still really amazing because that's 2 to 12 bonus damage right there. But it also means they can whip out a dagger, cast on a dagger, and now it's a pretty potent dagger because it's a +5 dagger. So I do love that spell a lot. The next spell, Mark of Justice, des- designates or designated action that triggers a curse on the subject. So it's kind of like I'm going to hit you with a curse, which is usually considered an evil act, but I'm doing it in a way that lets me, the paladin, not lose all my stuff because I'm using a god approved spell to curse you, and you have to do a designated thing to trigger it. So it's not just a I'm going out of my way to curse you. It's here's this. If you do this, triggers. So it's like I don't want you to burn down the orphanage. So the action of burning, if the action of setting the orphanage ablaze will trigger a curse. So just don't be evil, and you won't get a curse. Next,
Evil get all the curses. Treat them like Pokemon. Gotta catch them all.
yeah. The next spell is another really good one. Neutralize poison. So if someone is poisoned, you hit them with it, and now they're not. So that's always a good one. No matter what level you are or what you're facing, if you're pretty sure it's going to involve poison, neutralize poison covers it. The very last spell for the paladin is restoration. And what that does, it restores lost levels and ability score drains. So kind of like lesser restoration, but also affects levels. And the only caveat is it, just like lesser restoration, it does not counter permanent stat loss or permanent level loss. Because there is things that do it. For instance, if you lose levels due to an XP deficit, this doesn't restore the level because it doesn't give you XP. But if something hits you with a negative level effect, then yes, this can 9 out of 10 times, and the 10th time is usually for very specific things. The spell can restore those. So it's a really good. I don't want you to have level loss and or ability scores to be lowered. So voila, and that's it for paladin spells.
That's it
So
for time today.
it, yeah. So unlike the previous spellcasters who have had 0 to, well, the past two had 0 to ninth level spells, or like the bard who had 0 to 6th level spells, paladins only got to 4th level. Rangers are in the same boat. They only get up to 4th level spells, but we can get into that next week. Uh, which, depending on how long it takes us to do that, we might be able to start getting into some of the like wizard and sorcerer spells. Because going through 4 levels of spells and they're not very big lists will be probably pretty easy. But yeah, the paladins don't get that many spells. And I think the only real big turn off for their spellcasting abilities is their hit to their caster level and the level you have to be in order to actually get those spells are the two main reasons why a lot of people don't actually cast spells as paladins, despite the fact that at minimum you can prep healing spells to help you stay alive or help you keep your party alive. Uh, but yeah, that's it for them. Uh, we also didn't get into that many shenanigans today. But for those of you who watch this, thank you. But this will be the end of the episode. Remember to join us next week as we dive into Ranger spells. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.